Welcome. Hey, we're going to do a quick cold open. We're talking security reporting here, Mike Johnson. So I'm going to ask you, give me some good advice on how to do security reporting.
So we'd often talk about data-driven decisions in security. So driving your decisions based on data. And a good report is something that you can quickly distill the meaning of so that you can extract the data from that report to then drive your data-driven decisions. So good reports really help you with those data-driven decisions that everyone should be making in security.
All right. I like that good advice. Now, Dan, I'm going to ask you to do the opposite. Give me some bad advice on security reporting.
Yeah, my initial bad advice is posting all of your security metrics in a presentation to TikTok. Kills two birds with one stone, right?
There you go. That is amazingly bad advice.
Wow.
Mike, you got to top that one.
Wow.
Well, give me some worse advice.
So worse advice would be to then send that TikTok to your board at your regular board meeting to give them the reporting of your metrics.
That's good.
Get ready. It's Super Cyber Friday.
Welcome, everybody, to today's Super Cyber Friday. Our topic is hacking security reporting, an hour of critical thinking about producing, reading, responding, and repeating the process of understanding your security posture. Hey, we were just talking to our two guests. That would be Mike Johnson, who's the CISO of Fastly. You also know him as a co-host of the CISO Series podcast. Also joining us is a return champion, Dan DeCloss. We love having him on. He's the CEO over FlexTrack. And guess what? FlexTrack, they're our sponsor. Thank you so much, FlexTrack, for being an amazing sponsor of the CISO Series. Hey, lots of different ways to participate. You who are regulars and a lot of our regulars who have come back, thank you for coming back. You can chat in the chat room, which you've already discovered. Submit your, that is not correct. Worst way to regain control of the attack surface. That was the wrong one. What it is actually worst way to report on security. So ignore what it says on number 2. Worst way to report on security. My apologies for not editing that. Worst way to report on security. Submit it. How do we make it 10% better? Vote in the polls. Join us on video at any time with Bring Me On, or just ask and we'll try to do our best to bring you on. And then ask a question and vote for your favorite question. If you look at the very bottom of the screen, there's a big Ask a Question button. Go ahead and click on it. It actually doesn't look like a button. It's just the words Ask a Question, but it's actually a button. You can click on it and ask a question. All right. Today's schedule, you just saw it. Good advice, bad advice, worse advice. Get your worst way to report on security. That's what I meant. Label it bad idea, : Again, really horrible ways of reporting on security, which, by the way, Dan came up with a damn good one.
That was good.
That is really good. I'd like to see people top Dan there because that's a damn good one. How do we make it 10% better? All right. We don't need the full solution in security reporting. Just give me small tips to make it a little bit better. You'll vote it we'll play the public interest game. You'll vote for the worst way to report on security. And also we'll play the game That Totally Sucks. We don't play that one that often, but it's coming back today. We'll play the Department of Yes as well. Then we'll vote on how to make it 10% better. And the worst idea contenders will face off. And our last questions and final advice. And then our meetup. Please stick around for our meetup. We would love to have you. What'll happen is we'll exit this area. We'll go into the Toucan area. It's a ton of fun. And by the way, if you're a newbie, do not be afraid to join us. I cannot stress this enough. You are extremely welcome to join us. Hey, next Friday, our topic, that would be July 15th, is hacking compliance, an hour of critical thinking of how to simplify and scale complicated and often manual processes. Now, you will see a link at the bottom of your screen. That looks like a button. That sort of aqua blue link. Click on it at any time during this show, and it will not take you out of this. It will open up another window, and you can register for next week's event while still being in this event. And by the way, you do want to register for that because if you register by 5 p.m. next Tuesday, which is July 12th, you're automatically entered in a raffle, to win this awesome, I'm not wearing it, but this awesome CISO Series jacket, which, by the way, Dan, did you get yours?
It came, yes.
It came in the mail.
Very comfy, yes.
There it is.
They're very comfy, very cozy.
Comfy and cozy.
Yep.
So that's you will get that. All right. Enough of all this preamble. Those of you who are regulars, I know, get incredibly bored when I do all this stuff. But let us start the discussion on security reporting, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Dan DeClaus. And how arduous is security reporting, and are sometimes people putting the pain on themselves, for that matter?
Yeah, I think it's also important to kind of clarify. There's lots of different types of reporting in security,
Sure.
right? And so you've got proactive teams that are generating, reports that have more verbose sections of here's what we did, here was our methodology, or like incident response, like, hey, here was a timeline of things, and that takes a lot of time, and that's pretty arduous, right? And in a manual fashion, and then the security team at large needs to take all this data, as Mike was mentioning, like bringing this data together and trying to make sense of it, in addition to being able to show trends over time, right? So it definitely you actually end up finding yourself in some form of a reporting process in a big chunk of your day as a security team.
Mike, what is security reporting eating up too much of your time? Let's just start with that.
It's interesting. It's one of those that you can have it suck as much of your time as you want.
Yes.
You can spend a lot of time on manual reporting, trying to make it the perfect thing ever, and you kind of descend into spreadsheet hell very quickly. So it's certainly possible to go too far on a manual effort. And then on the flip side, the reality is you need some reporting. You need a way to communicate with the rest of the company, communicate to your own team. One of the things that I think is the most important in reporting is prioritization, and using those reports to drive what should we be working on now, what should we be working on next, and that helps you plan your team their work, but also communicate to the rest of the company what your team is working on and what's coming next. So that, for me, the most valuable thing out of reporting is the prioritization, but the reports themselves, you can spend days on them very easily.
So, but isn't there like an ROI in terms of like, well, this extra report, there's a point where you're not getting more valuable insight into it. So do you have any understanding of when that moment happens, Mike?
Well, it's the standard 80-20 rule, right? Like when it comes down to it, you don't need to have reporting for everything. Reporting that covers 80% is probably doing a good enough job for now. I don't know that there's like a clear chasm that you've crossed.
No, but is there a moment
too much?
Well, let me throw this to Dan, because Dan, maybe your tool Plextrack kind of gives you an insight as to, this reporting ain't doing much for you. Does it help you provide any of that insight?
Yeah, I mean, I think, providing the explicit insight, not so much, but like it definitely, we definitely save teams on the time that it takes to produce a report, right? Especially when you're in a proactive assessment or like an engagement from an IR perspective or something where you're really trying to generate, here's all the, you have two sections of that report, right? You have the findings and the details of what was found or a timeline of events and has remediation recommendations associated with it. Having pre-canned verbiage around some of those things definitely saves a lot of time. So you're not searching for you're not coming up reinventing the wheel on how to fix, password management policies or something like that, right? So that saves a lot of time, as well as the ability to just generate a document, right? Because I think, kind of to Mike's point is like, you can spend a lot of time, because a lot of security people like me are like OCD, right? It's like, hey, this is not, it's not exactly the way I want it to look. And so you find yourself like wasting a half hour resizing a single screenshot or something like that.
Yep. So
we definitely help in that arena. And then also where we can help, but I think encourage anybody to focus on is like trends, right? A single report is valuable, but it's not as valuable as 10 reports over the last year. And how are you getting better and showing the areas that are making improvements, which also lead into prioritization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the things that kind of clicked when I was listening to you, Dan, is you've taken too long when you've passed a deadline. Often these reports have an audience and they're expecting them on a timeline. To your point about the pen test reports, your customer, your client, whoever they are, internal, external, they're expecting those reports on a timeline. And if you're rushed for that timeline, or if you miss that timeline, then there you go. That's your bright line.
Mm-hmm. Excellent point on that. External factors will tell you how much you're going to create and how much you're not going to create often, I'm sure, as well. All right. You were talking about manual processes, Mike. To what level can you automate the reporting and what can't you automate?
Anything that you're pulling from your SIEM, your logging system, that you're pulling from automated reporting mechanisms. What I mean by that is, I think Mike Wilkes in the chat had mentioned something about phishing. The reports that are coming in from your employees about phishing, they're things that you're already collecting them. Those are very easy to pull into reports. Things that you have to go and manually pull out from context, those all take longer. Things that maybe not represent or do not represent very well in just raw numbers, you need to present them maybe a graph or something like that. If you don't have the automation set up to generate those graphs, again, you're building all of that manually along the way. Sometimes things that are coming from reports, if I've got something that's delivered to me as a PDF from one of my third-party testers, I have to manually extract that from the PDF in order to put it into a different report. And so those are some of the ones that are, both easy and hard. If a human is having to move them from point A to point B, it's always going to be slow.
So that's a good setup, I think, for you, Dan, because this is one of the key things in your tool is to facilitate the movement of information even to action as well. Yes?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you can eliminate, some of that wasted time of, copying and pasting, like from PDFs or other spreadsheets into other spreadsheets or into other reporting mechanisms, then you have more data at your fingertips, right? And so that's a way to automate and move that data across while still saving time on the reporting aspects and the trending, right? And being able to assign issues out, because the more real time data you have, the better decision making you can implement. So being able to automate not only the report generation and the delivery and the collaboration along those issues, the better, as well as, hey, now we've actually shown progress in remediating these items that are coming out. We can consolidate across different sources. So I think that's what we're seeing in the industry, and why we exist as a company too. But we're seeing this in the industry is that at the end of the day, there's lots of tools, lots of ways to get data, right? What are we doing with that, and how are we making sense of it, and how do we consolidate it to have better decision making?
One more question for you, Dan. I want to get to our first game. Think about version 1 of your tool and where it is today. You obviously started to understand how security teams work, how companies work, how vulnerabilities were dealt with, and you started to understand the process more. And what I always think about this kind of stuff is that it kind of can turn into this sort of death by 1,000 paper cuts. Oh, my video is grainy. Is it grainy on you guys now still? It's
okay for me, but
it's a little bit. I don't know why it's doing that. I do have a wired connection, but I can refresh in a second. But I'll refresh after I'm done asking you this question here, Dan. So my question to you is, what are the processes that you start to see from version 1 to now that you started to sort of add to sort of, if not automate, just do the handoff simpler today that, like you didn't see it in version 1, but you saw it over time? What do you think?
Yeah. So, I mean, in version 1 of our product, it was definitely, helping security assessment teams, consolidate their findings and have a repeatable process that would save an inordinate amount of time, getting those results collected and reported on and delivered. So where we've continued to evolve and push is like not only helping those manual reports be generated easier and faster and more efficient, but also collecting data from other sources to aggregate that together and have the assignment of issues and the trending, right? So being able to recognize that once I have a report in some fashion, whoever the audience is, they've got to do something with it, right? They got to have something to take action on. And so there's a lot of process and a lot of workflow around just taking results, getting them into the right hands, collaborating on the remediation and fixing of those issues, and then actually having the more abstract analytics to say, like, here's how we're trending over time. That really is more of those executive level reports, board level reports, things like that. So that's kind of how we've evolved, and knowing that was our path, right? We saw the need there.
All right.
Do you know what others are thinking? On the public interest.
All right, we have a new game. Actually, it's not a new game. I took the game. We actually have the new music. What am I saying? It's the new music for the new game. I used to play the new game, and I kept apologizing since we had played it 8 or 9 times, and we'd get to develop new music for it. So everyone who has been here knows this game. It's a fun game. You will all play along, as will Dan and Mike. And, by the way, Dan and Mike, your answer to these questions will be relevant to how well you do in our next game. That totally sucks. Okay, here we go. Most average monthly search queries. Is it the term pen test or red team? Which one gets more? What do you think?
B.
B?
A.
You think it's red team? I'm sorry. Dan, what'd you say?
I say A.
All right. Dan goes with pen test. Mike goes with red team. And the correct answer is red team. 1 for Mike, 0 for Dan. Sorry about that. A lot of people answered A on that and got it wrong. Got it wrong, people. All right. I want to know who gets, by the way, getting all 4 right on this game is extraordinarily hard, I think. And it's interesting. It's just 50-50. It's really tough in this game. All right. Which gets more, failure or mistake?
D.
C.
C, you're both saying failure?
Nothing.
All right,
I
we'll
said
see.
D.
No, hold on. I'm sorry. You said D?
I said mistake. Yep.
And Mike, you
I
say
said
failure?
C. Yep.
All right. Mike, again, 2
Killing
to
it.
0 right now. Dan, you got some work to do right
I
here.
got to catch up.
I know. Here we go. All right. Well, most average monthly search queries. Is it doing nothing or doing something? Which one gets more?
Who searches for these? Like,
Yeah. Why would you search for it? I don't need help doing nothing. I'm gonna go with E because that seems like a weird thing to search for.
yeah.
So you think more people are searching for the thing that's a weird thing to search
Exactly, because that's how search engines work.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
gonna say E.
for? Okay. Both going for E, and you were both correct. Good job. Good job. Actually, looks like we split on the E and the F. All right. How is the audience doing? All right. Last one here. This is actually 3 options. Which gets more, reports, metrics, or stats?
H.
H, metrics, and
I'll go with G, reports.
G, reports. H, metrics for Dan. And remember, we are 3-1 right now. Mike with 3 correct. By the way, Mike, you could get 4 correct.
Oh,
Let's see
I'm
what's
hoping I don't ruin it right here.
Guess what? You did
I
ruin
ruined
it. All
it.
right.
Yes.
All right. Dan, that means you're going to have to pick 2 because you only got 1 correct and Mike got 3. You're going to have to pick 2 more bad situations in the That Totally Sucks game when we get to that in just a few moments. So hang tight for that. All right. We have questions. Let me get to our questions here. Here's a good one from Dutch Schwartz. Question: if you had only 5 minutes, and maybe that does happen, what one standard report, and I think this follows like what one metric would you show, but what standard report would you share with a C-level business peer that would tell the best story, I would say? Mike, what do you think?
NIST CSF maturity assessment. That's what I have right now as the most holistic view as to how our security program is doing. So if I really only have a short period of time, that's what I want to communicate. And it has both a high level and a level of granularity that may not be directly actionable, but that combined with some trend information, it goes a long way to communicate to the other leaders how we're doing, but also where we need the help.
And what generally is the story that is telling?
So as I said, the trend part is really
Trend.
the important thing.
So
Is
like to see how, like, whether you're improving or not improving.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And using that to highlight the specific areas that need the most assistance.
Oh, okay. So Dan, you're nodding your head a lot. This falls in line with your work.
This is always tough. Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think a framework based assessment is good, and I kind of try to marry that also with our latest internal or external penetration test or red team exercise, and marry that kind of like in the trending as well, because like it can combine not only here's how we are from the compliance perspective, but also like the security perspective of like what does our environment look like from an attacker's perspective. But the trend is really the key, and that's what we tend to hammer home on. Is like whatever you choose as your baseline metric for reporting, make sure you have a way to show the trends over time of what areas you're focused on, what are areas improving, and then that also helps dictate what you're going to work on next. And that can be done in 5 minutes if you have the right metrics in place.
So Dan, can I ask you a question real quick on that? Would you say that a metric that you can't trend on is not a very useful metric?
I tend to say that, right? I mean, like,
Okay.
pie charts, while nice or it provides you data, it's not a lot of information. Like, oh, I have 1,000 vulnerabilities today.
Right. It's a point in time, and
Right.
that's just not helping you a whole lot.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
By the way, the poll is up for the bad ideas. Thank you, everybody. And Dutch Schwartz got 4 out of 4 on our public
Nice
interest. So
work.
kudos to Dutch. You should have just followed Dutch, Mike. You blew it.
I am learning that lesson the hard way.
By the way, if you have not clicked the link at the bottom of the screen for Hacking Compliance, that is our Super Cyber Friday next Friday. Please click on that and register for that as well. Remember, if you register early, you're automatically entered to win an awesome jacket or fleece from us. All right. So please vote in that. And we're going to play a game, the Department of Yes game, in about 8 minutes, but we'll have That Totally Sucks before that. All right. Let's get to another question that I have. How do you get others? I'll start with you, Mike. How do you get others involved in the reporting process, and really who needs to be and who doesn't need to be involved?
If you think about the reporting process as almost like an assembly line, you have the creation of the report is on one side of the line, and then you have the receiving of the report on the other side of the line. And in terms of on the first side, you have to have the people who are creating the systems that create the data that you can then pull into your reports. So you've got engineers who are involved, you have analysts who are involved in interpreting the data that then help you figure out what's the data actually telling you. So that's on the one side, on the creation. On the receiving side, it's whoever you want to take action. Giving someone a report that they're not expected to take any action with, it's informative, and the odds are they're not going to even read it. So the people who are involved on that side are the ones, maybe it's your engineering leaders, maybe it's your CFO, maybe it is your CEO, maybe it is a random peer over in IT that, again, you're needing to highlight a problem to. So I really, that's how I frame who's involved. Is there's the creation side of it. Maybe you could call it the value creation side of the reporting process. And then there's the value realization side, the folks who can actually take action on what those reports are showing.
All right. Dan, has anyone got involved in the security reporting that you've seen through your clients that surprised you and you're like, oh, well, that's actually worth getting involved? I know that's kind of a question out of left field. Let me.
Yeah,
has
no,
that
I
happened?
mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, nothing that has necessarily surprised me, because I definitely am of the opinion, like most of your security team and a lot of people are going to be involved in many aspects of that reporting process,
Right,
whether
because
if it's the
remediation's also involved, and that's now going to touch a lot of people.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you were to just kind of play through the scenario of like a red team exercise, even if like it's an internal red team, they're going to generate that report and deliver it to the blue team or other development teams or somebody. So those development teams are the receivers of that report, but then they're also going to be assigning issues out to other people and also reporting on their progress from the results of that, plus the results of other things. So a lot of, I think, as security professionals, I always preach, like, you got to be good at conveying risk and having good communication skills, and that's a reporting process. So I think everybody is involved in it in some fashion. I can't think of anything like unique from like what I've heard of our
But that's
customer
fine.
base, but when I was a security director, we would actually get our legal team involved in our tabletop exercises, right? Because that gave them a lot better perspective. And they were the ones ultimately, I don't know if this is unique or not, but they were the ones that would sign off on our breach insurance, application as well. Right. So making sure they understood what they were signing off on was an important aspect of our reporting process.
All right, we have a game.
Oh no, that totally sucks.
All right, we're playing That Totally Sucks. Here we have a board of 12 hidden things, hidden things that could happen to your environment. 11 of them are bad at varying degrees of bad. One is actually good. I don't remember what the heck's behind any of these things, but because, Dan, you got 2 more wrong than Mike did, you will actually be required to pick 2 more than Mike does. At the end, but it is conceivable that Mike will pick. So Mike is only going to pick 3. You're going to pick 5. Collectively, what's going to happen is the audience is going to determine whose environment is the worst, depending on what you picked. Now, it's conceivable that Mike will pick 3 really bad things, and you'll pick the 1 good one, and 4 not so bad things. So you may do well, but the odds are unfortunately stacked against you, Dan, on this one, because you have to pick more. So there is a possibility here. The audience will choose at the end. So, Dan, I'm going to have you pick any number 1 through 12.
3.
Number 3, and that is, procurement takes 12 months to onboard new vendors. That's not.
I know what that feels like. Feels like.
All right, you're going to be red, by the way. Mike, you pick one.
8.
Mike goes for 8, and that is, you inundate the board with metrics and no story whatsoever. All right, not horrible.
You let me
not
down,
good.
Jonathan.
All right, Mike is going to be blue, by the way, everybody. All right, Dan, pick another one.
11.
Goes for 11. Whoops, here we go. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Ah, crap.
Oh, that was the mine. You blew up the whole. The whole board.
No, I'm going to do this again. Hold on. I can pick this again. We can do this again. It's not the end of the world. All right. So I picked 3. This was Dan and Mike. Okay. And then you picked 11.
Oh, no.
Your brilliant jerk comes back from a 12-step program, and now they're just brilliant. This is actually the good one. You
12 is 12. I might, yeah. I'm
I don't know what the
12
12-step program could be, just not being a jerk.
It's an omen, yeah.
So they're just brilliant. So that you got the one good one there. Okay, Mike.
5.
5. Here we go. Whoops. One executive account is completely taken over. Ooh, definitely not good, Mike.
That sounds bad.
All right, but 3 more for Dan, only 1 more for you, Mike.
Well, I feel like the universe is telling me to pick 12, so I better pick 12.
All right, 12 is All meetings now take 3 hours.
Just what my team wanted to hear.
Dan, Mike, you
Well,
choose.
but the good thing is you have less meetings now. So
Oh, that is a good point.
glass half full.
Yeah.
I'll go with 7.
All right. Mike picks. Oh, hold on. Whoops. Here we go. Company refuses to implement MFA.
Oh no.
That is not
Sad
good.
trombone.
By the way, this is not looking good for you, Mike. Now,
No,
Dan.
it's not.
Dan has to pick
I got
2
2
more.
Let's do number 1.
All right, here we go. Number 1. An employee sells company credentials. Ouch!
Oh.
Not good.
That is not good. And one more.
10.
10. Whoops. Where are you here? 10. Endpoint's working fine, but your sim just shut down. All right.
I mean, a lot of people would argue that's actually a good outcome.
All right. So let's just quickly review here. Audience, now put the poll up. Do we have the poll of yes, the poll is up and it says here, let's just look at it right now quickly. If you scroll down below the bad idea poll, you'll see who has the worst environment. Blue is Mike Johnson or red is Dan DeClaus. And I want you to vote who has the worst environment. I'm going to keep this up for a second so you can all see. So of the
I'm
red,
not feeling so good.
an
I'm not
employee
feeling
sells
good about
company
this one.
credentials. Procurement
Crossing my
takes 12
fingers.
months. I would say the thing that's, the worst for you, Dan, is an employee sells company credentials.
Yeah.
But the others kind of stink, and you did get the good one. But Mike has one executive's account is completely taken over, and the company refuses to implement
And no
MFA. The other one is not so awful. So
The other one is my board hates me. So
your board hates you. All right, let's see how the poll's doing. We're going to give everybody actually, you know what? We're going to go to Mike is getting a lot of votes right now. I'm going to give this. I'm going to give this now 15
correct.
seconds. We're going to count down, actually 10 seconds. So 10, 9, 8. Get your votes in. 7, 6. Mike, you're running away with it with the worst environment. 5, 4. Dan, you only got 4 votes. 3, 2. Get your last vote in. 1, 0. Oh
got
no,
one
actually, Dan, you did get a vote in. So it
Yeah,
was
just
14-5.
I win. Yay.
Mike wins / loses.
Yeah. Yes.
So Dan, you actually redeemed yourself while doing poorly in the public interest game. You redeemed yourself, and that totally sucks.
Better be lucky than good, right?
It's a
Good
demonstration of luck right there.
There you go. All right. Oh, we have bled into the time that we want to go play our next game. But you know what? Let's do one question. We're going to do one more question, and then we're going to get to our next game because I don't want to run one game into the next game. All right. So my next question is, this is a good one for you, Dan. I'll have you answer this, and then we'll go into our game. Actually, you know what? And I'll ask both of you. And my focus just went. Hold on. I don't know why I didn't go to my other camera here, but there I'm not. Focus is back. Dan, because one of your charges for you, that you have is, don't do security reporting once a year. Like, let me ask you, do you have any customers who actually do use your product and only do reporting once a year?
Not our customers, no.
Okay, good. Okay. So what holds up an organization from going once a year reporting to more repetitive reporting?
Yeah, I mean, I think like probably that probably kind of comes down to like where is their focus in terms of what they're actually trying to report on. I think if it's truly the diligence of their security program, they're already in that mindset of like, we know we got to be in a more continuous fashion. If it's predominantly compliance driven from a like, hey, we've got to do this to appease an audit or something like that, that's where they're kind of more in that once a year focus. So I think unfortunately, what the impetus tends to be is like they have a severe security incident in some capacity or another, that then starts to force them to actually be more diligent in their security posture and program as a whole, rather than hey, we checked a box to get some compliance out of the way.
All right. I got to assume that it moves from the compliance checklist, Mike, like what Dan just said, to really trying to improve the security program. I mean, yes.
I think on the one side of the spectrum, you have both the compliance checkbox, but also the annual budget exercise. That's on the one side of you've got to at least do those. And on the other side, as Dan was really alluding to, is the good reports as he was really stating directly, is the good reports and the companies who are doing the continuous reporting are the ones who want results. They want actions taken out of their reports. They want to use those reports to drive interest and involvement from the rest of the company. And that'll be on the other side, is the companies, the teams, the organizations that are using the reports to directly drive actions.
All right. We have a call.
Hello, welcome to the Department of Yes, where no request is ever rejected.
All right. We have two really bad ideas here that came in from our community, and they are filled with horrible ideas. By the way, I haven't checked. We should actually get the good idea poll. Aaron, who's our producer working in the background, did we get any good ideas that actually came in? I hope we did.
They're all
I always
bad
give
ideas.
the audience crap that they give us way more bad ideas than they give us good ideas. All right. So these are both, I'm going to say, very clever bad ideas, and I really like them. You two are playing the Department of Yes. You have to explain why you truly want to deploy these horrible ideas. And again, you cannot be facetious. This first one I know comes from, because we have the number is still turned. No, not yet. We start now. Get those 10% ideas in now on security reporting, please. We want to get a poll of those up. All right. From Valerie Apperson, use baseball signals for security reporting. Dan, you're nodding your head. I'm going to have you answer that first. Why is this a great idea?
You fell for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge baseball fan, right? But I think it not only does it help communicate your security metrics, but it also helps your cryptanalysis and cryptography skills at a base level.
I don't know. I'm still confused by that, so I'm going to give you a yes and a because I honestly don't know how that's going to help anything communicate better. That's the part where I'm having a hard time with. Mike, why do you want to do this?
One of the cool things about baseball signals is they're out in the open. Everyone can see them, but only the sender and the receiver know what they mean. So if you implement your reporting this way, it gives you this opportunity to be very transparent with your reporting, but only the people who are receiving it actually understand what's going on.
I love it. Oh, yeah! That's a good answer. That's a great answer. All right, next one. This one comes from Dutch Schwartz. All right, this is quite a long one. Get ready for it. Create a 47-slide PowerPoint deck and walk the board through every possible framework and report card in the CSF, COSO, is that how it's pronounced? COSO, ITIL, ISO 27K, HIPAA, 800-53 MITRE, GDPR, and CCPA. At the end of each slide, say, but wait, there's more. Mike, why do you want to do this?
So first you lock the door, and then you say, hey, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about security right here over the next 3 days. And so you have a lot of
so no one even could go to the bathroom.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's maybe a little curtain stall off in the corner that people can use, and maybe we'll bring in food. But the reality is, they're going to come out of there knowing so much more about security, and they're going to not want you to come back ever again.
I envision something out of Clockwork Orange where you pry their eyes open and you force them to watch it. I like it. All right, Dan, why do you want to do this?
I think this is a guaranteed way by the end of this one. Yeah, they'll know more about security, but I think by the end of this, your very last comment is, I won't do this again if you approve my budget requests. And then you're good to go.
Nice.
I like it.
Well played, sir.
Very good. All right. Excellent job. So that is Dutch and Valerie. Valerie and Dutch, I hope you two can come on. We're going to bring you on in. Let's just do a question or two, and then we'll bring you on to defend why your ideas are truly the worst. All right. I got some more questions. This one, I'm going to ask. I know that Dan's going to have a good answer for this question, but I'm going to start with Mike first on this.
No pressure.
How do you know? Because you
can raise
you
the bar.
talked
It can
about
only go up.
how do you say, I show the NIST report because it tells a good story and it shows improvement. How are you actually showing improvement? How is improvement being shown where, it's the validity of the work, that cybersecurity is doing?
A few ways. One, because it's a maturity framework, it actually has a score of 0 to 5, so the numbers are very easy to understand. But you're also showing your previous results at the same time. Current results, previous results, and what is your target? What is your ultimate goal? You're unlikely to try and get perfect in every way because that costs a lot of money. So you show where you're going. It's very easy to understand when you put it all together like that of here's where we were, here's where we are, and here's where we want to be.
Oh, by the way, we have the 10% better poll up now. So go ahead and vote on that. Dan, how do you show, and probably I'm sure you show it within PlexTrack, how do you show things are getting better?
Yeah, so you have the report comparison, like Mike alluded to as well, where you can show like here were the results from last year or the last assessment. So you start to show that trending of the same types of assessments and their improvement, but you also have like what we call the service level agreements that you've maybe put into some form of like maybe not a formal contract, but like, hey, every time a critical vulnerability gets reported in our environment, we're going to fix that within 2 days or something like that. So you now have metrics and benchmarks of how you're actually trending in those types of arenas as well, where hey, we need to actually show if our program as a whole from an operational perspective is continuing to meet our metrics and our bar, setting the bar high and staying aligned with those benchmarks as well. So both not just the categorical trending of like, hey, we're getting better in identity access management or the 5 categories within the NIST CSF, but also the operational metrics. How quickly are we getting things resolved? How long does it take for us to respond to items and things like that?
That's very good. By the way, I like Victoria's 10% better tip. Hire 10% more staff, which I think would do more than 10% actually.
If it's the right staff,
right?
Yes.
Staff, yeah.
Oh, it's the right staff. That's important. Yes, that's a good point. Can we get Valerie and Dutch on to play our What's Worse contenders? Fight it out. And by the way, these are 2 champions, Valerie and Dutch, who have been What's Worse champions before. All right, while we're waiting for them to come on as well.
Champions.
Oh, by the way, I should mention again, do click the link at the bottom of the screen if you have not yet already and register for next week's Super Cyber Friday. And they have both been invited, and hopefully both of them can come on, Dutch. We were talking, about prioritization. Mike, just quickly as we're waiting for them to come on, how do you deal with prioritization?
Wow. That's actually, it's one of those questions that's very easy to ask.
It is. We can deal with it more if they come on quickly. I'm hoping they're coming on quickly. Go ahead. Answer is best.
So,
now they're coming on. Forget your answer.
You.
We're going to ask him.
Thank you.
Valerie saved Mike. Valerie, you're on
Valerie.
mute, by the way. Take yourself off of mute. And we're waiting for Dutch. Yes, is Dutch coming on? Hopefully Dutch is coming on. You wave your cursor over your face and Valerie's refreshing. Hopefully she'll come back in a second. I know the prioritization issue is. Dan, why don't you start answering the prioritization question while Mike sort of fumbles for his own answer?
Oh, I'm just not going to answer it. I'm just going to pause. I'm just going to stall until time goes by.
All right. Well, Valerie, if you wave your cursor over your face, you can unmute yourself. I see that you're muted. You don't see wave the cursor, and then you see the microphone in the upper left-hand corner of your face. It's not there. Why can't you do it? It doesn't
no.
click.
Oh no!
It doesn't actually click. You can't actually. Can you unmute her, Aaron, who's the producer? Can you unmute her and make her unmuted, or only she can do it to herself? And then we don't also have Dutch on. We may have to axe this completely if we can't get this working. All right, Valerie, I think we're going to have to drop you, unfortunately. Dutch is stuck on. I cannot unmute her. All right. I'm sorry, Valerie. We're going to have to drop you because we're having technical issues. We still love you altogether. They still had great bad ideas.
Absolutely.
Incredibly. Actually, I'll just ask you. They're not on. Who truly had the worst one? Valerie's was the one of baseball signals, and Dutch was the 37 slide PowerPoint deck. Which one do you think was worse, Mike? They both stink.
They both stink. One of them. So the problem is one of them is facetious. One of them is reality. You're never going to actually use baseball signals. So it's funny, but I guarantee you there have been CISOs who've shown up to board meetings with 47-page PowerPoint documentations.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know if any have locked them in the room though, like you described.
Well, no, that was my embellishment on top. That was how to make it even worse. But the reality is, so if I have to pick one, I would pick that one because it's frankly the one that people have actually tried before.
What do you think, Dan? You think that one's worse?
I concur. I mean, it's like, yeah, like you said, baseball signals. You can't really envision a scenario where you would actually do that. So it's fun to embellish a little bit. But yeah, I agree. I think how you communicate risk to the board is definitely the issue, and that is a very bad idea. To
baseball signals is not a good way to communicate it to the board. I should point out, it's not a good way.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing with the Dutch's solution. At least some information is going to be communicated. With Valerie's, I don't know what's really getting communicated here. See what I'm saying?
Well, so imagine you're a CISO for a baseball franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's still not going to communicate much.
It could work. It could work.
Yeah.
What it's going to communicate is whether I should take the pitch or not.
Do I punt?
All right. Let's now get to the subject of prioritization because we only have about 13 minutes left.
I thought
it's
we had
a doozy.
Dodged this one.
All right, no, you're not going to dodge it. I'll come back to you second, though. I'm going to let Dan answer first because this is your wheelhouse. Prioritization. Yeah. How is it dealt with? I guess how is it dealt with before PlexTrack and how is it dealt with PlexTrack? Let me ask it that way. So why people because my assumption. I'm sorry to cut you off there. My assumption is. That's kind of one of the main reasons people are using the tool to help with the prioritization issue. Yes,
for sure. Yeah. So I think people prioritize things, and it kind of comes down to different ways and different categories. I think, prior to PlexTrack, we really focus on some of your highest risk assessments, like your penetration tests, your purple team exercises, your external assessments and risk assessments. So really being able to provide a mechanism for combining those results and having a little more weight behind those as part of the prioritization for your program. So I think prior to that, it was all kind of disjointed. We had our vulnerability scans, we had our pen tests, and those results would live in different systems, and you really wouldn't have a good view as to like who's doing what, and how do these things mesh together. With a tool like ours, you can tag and categorize issues together. So you can have those scans, you can have those risk assessments, you can have the pen tests, and you have a concrete list, and you can break it down by category and even change the priority once it's in your system, or in your context. So I think being able to add the context and the combination of different results is how we've seen our customers really improve the prioritization of what they should be working on, which bubbles into things that we're working on now, which is more like, what are the initiatives, right? Not necessarily a compliance-based initiative, but a program-based initiative. And then seeing, okay, well, this one has a lot more findings and risks associated with this security program initiative. Maybe we should focus there first, because it looks like that's actually going to help improve our security posture more than say an initiative that sounds good, but we really only have a few identified risks or findings in that category.
All right, Mike, you now need to answer the prioritization question.
Well,
How are you doing
so
it? Very good answer, by the way, Dan.
fortu-
Go ahead.
Fortunately, listening to Dan, smarter than me, I actually now have an answer to it.
You see,
It really is.
you make life easy
it-
for Mike.
You really made life easy for me, Dan. So it really is focus on risk. The things that are your highest risk that are going to be either biggest impact, biggest frequency, combination of the two, those are the ones that you should concentrate on first. You should really be letting risk drive your prioritization within security. That should be the number one thing that you're working on is how do I improve my overall risk posture? Now, there's other things that you can look at as well. I'd mentioned CSF earlier, and it's easy to look at, well, here's the area where we're moving the slowest that also has the most significant goal. Like, we're scoring a 0.5 and we want to be a 4.8. And everything else is much closer. The delta is much smaller. So you can look at it from a maturity perspective as well. But fundamentally, you should be letting risk decide your prioritization.
By the way, let me call out some of the 10% tips. By the way, your colleague Dallin suggested the 10% tip is using PlexTrack. Very wise.
Nice.
Good job, Dallin.
Yeah.
But
Not fired.
I want to call out, and I don't know who said these, so please speak up. Make sure your reporting metrics contain previous values to show trend and direction of the metric. What we were just discussing, example, quarterly board reporting should also show previous quarterly metrics as percentages as well. And then I also want to call out, and so speak up if that was yours, this one about templates, which I'm assuming your product is all templatized, Dan, but create templates for your reports and stick to them. This will stream report creation and enable better communication to the board as well. So kudos on those. And I still like 10% more staff to solve your problem as well. All right.
How about 10% more snacks?
Is that going to help your security reporting? Make people stick around longer?
Exactly. They can now eat at their desk while working on their metrics.
We all know why companies feed their employees is that they don't go out
Yes.
and they work harder. We all know how that works.
Everyone understands the game, yet everyone still plays it.
Yeah.
It's
It's hard to deny free food.
10% more budget goes with that, Gabe, as well. Okay, let me ask you this. Here's a quick question, not directly recorded. I want a quick answer from both of you. You would get 10% more budget or 10% more staff? Not the same thing. So your budget can't be used for your staff. Or, excuse me, I take that back. Your budget could be used for a mix of staff and something else. So what do you want, 10% more staff or 10% more budget, Mike?
Well, you just lost me with that caveat. I can use the
No, the
budget for
caveat is
anything.
the 10% budget could be used for staff too. But 10% more budget doesn't calculate necessarily to 10% more staff, or it
It
could.
does actually.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It does?
Dollars are the same regardless of how you spend them.
Okay, they are. All right, so 10%, then let's do it this way. If it's that way, then 10% budget does not go to staff. 10%
Perfect.
staff goes to staff. What do you want?
Staff.
Staff? Dan, what are you nodding your head?
Staff, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because it's easy to buy a product. It's not easy to get 10% more staff, is it?
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
There you go. And Mike Wilkes was the one who said the previous, make sure your reporting metrics contain previous values. Thank you very much.
Very,
Mike.
very good point.
Excellent. All right. We have just a few minutes left. Then let me do this. Let's get final thoughts on this topic. And Dan, please, any call out for people on PlexTrack. I will start with you, Dan. Your final thoughts on the security reporting issue. Or actually, you know what? Let me hold that. Let me close out this show. Think about this. Let me close this out because I have our final stuff that we have to do. Whoops. So, Aaron, please remember to get ready to switch the link at the bottom. If you've not clicked the link at the bottom, do it this very second because it's going to change. Hey, next Friday, remember, it is Hacking Compliance. So if you have not registered for that, you can. We will actually have the new link up on our site. But remember, register by next Tuesday because, as I said, you'll be entered to win a CISO Series jacket. Huge thanks to our sponsor, PlexTrack. Thank you so much, PlexTrack, for sponsoring this very show. I think we all had a good time. And thank you for all the horrible ideas because they're pretty funny and entertaining. Hey, starting in about 90 minutes, we are going to have our cybersecurity headlines week in review. Our guest is David Cross, who is the CISO of Oracle SaaS Cloud. You may have met him. He joins many of our meetups at the end of the show as well. So maybe he'll be there now. I have no idea if he's on now, but join our meetup that we're going to have in just a second. And that is my next click here. Hold on. Whoops. Stick around for our meetup. Go ahead. Change that link at the bottom of the screen, Aaron, to our meetup. There it is. So you can click on that now. Go ahead and click on that now. Enter in. You'll have to register to get in if you haven't done that before. But what we'll do is we'll all meet up and we'll schmooze and have a good time as well. And then tell your friends to join us. We're doing this most every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. It's a ton of fun. If this was not already evident to you, tell your friends to join us. And if you want to sponsor Super Cyber Friday, we would love to have you. I think we have the very last date in August available and then many more dates available after that. Okay. Now, Dan, I will start with you. We have just a few minutes. So in a couple of minutes, any last thoughts on the story of security reporting and how people get in contact with you? I'm sure you're hiring, and any offer or suggestion about PlexTrack you can give to our audience.
Yeah, no, well, great. I mean, thanks again for having me and us. We love being partners with the show, and it's always fun. So no, I think, I mean, this is obviously in our wheelhouse. I hated writing reports. I hated, feeling like we weren't conveying the whole message of how we're doing and being able to know what we should be working on next. And that's the whole goal of PlexTrack, is to help you do that in many capacities, whatever team that you're on, whether that's a consulting team or an internal team, that's really what we help do. And so, definitely reach out to us, if you have these pains or wanting to get better. But love the topic too. I think, security today is inundated with a lot of data and tools that produce data. And our goal is really to help you make sense of that, right? And to be able to stay focused on working on the right things. And so that's what I think at the end of the day, we're really talking about when we talk about security reporting, is like, do we know where we're making progress? Do we know if we're working on the right things, and what should we be working on next? And those are truly the answers I think everybody should be driving towards. However you're going to do that, obviously we can help. But so reach out to us, plextrack.com, and we'd be happy to chat.
It's a complicated process that PlexTrack is simplifying. Mike, you're nodding your head. It's not easy, is it?
No, you saw me struggle on the prioritization question earlier. It is a hard problem to solve, and anything that can help get to clear priority faster brings a lot of value. Yes,
much agreed on that. Anyways, I know you're always hiring over at Fastly as well. Any last thoughts on this discussion as well? Some parting advice you'd like to leave our audience with?
So the advice that I would give is to make sure your reports, your measures, your metrics tell a story. If you can tell a story with them that everyone else can receive, you're going to get tremendous value out of all the work that you put into it. So make sure they tell a story. That's the takeaway that I would give everyone.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. This is 30%, that's 70%, this is 12 times. What the friggin' hell does this mean? Because I'm sure, by the way, I'm sure you've heard that story where they look at the report and they go, what does this mean?
Absolutely. Yes? It's quite often very difficult to understand what these reports are really saying. There's the words that are on paper, but then there's what is the real message that they're trying to get across? And sometimes that's a bit obtuse.
Yes. So let me ask, do you sit down with your team? Actually, let's get quick 30 seconds because we got a minute and a half left. Do you sit down with your team and go, okay, the report's done. What's the story here? And like get everyone to say, oh, I think the story is this. I think the story is that. Do you do that, Mike?
I don't do that. That's an interesting exercise to gather that kind of feedback. From me, I can wear multiple hats and I can look at it from, okay, I actually know what this is really saying. But if I step back a little bit and I'm not wearing my hardcore security hat.
You need multiple eyes on it because people will see stories that you don't see.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing, but at the same time, if it's taking me 3 weeks to get a report out because I'm trying to get consensus across a number of folks, that's a problem as well. So I'm taking that first pass myself, and then signing off or asking for more.
All right, quickly, 30 seconds. Dan, getting other people's viewpoint to tell you the story. What's your take?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's great to get feedback, right? I mean, I think that's probably one thing that security people don't necessarily do is like, hey, did that report make sense? Like, did is there something I could have done better with the report itself, right? Because they're very focused on the actual findings or the process. So, as a software company where you're delivering product, you're always asking your customers, hey, does this feature work? And seeking that feedback loop is really important. So in our profession, we need to exercise that same muscle. So I think that's important. And and someone, I think you mentioned it before, having those templated out can then start to save time. Like once you feel like you've got it nailed and like, hey, this does paint the right picture for this audience, here's the template for this audience, then you're golden and you can just plug in the data and get going.
Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you, Dan DeClaus of Plexrock. Thank you for sponsoring as well. Thank you, Mike Johnson, my co-host, and the CISO over at Fastly. Thank you, audience, as well. Take us out, Aaron, and meet us. Click the link at the bottom of the screen and meet us over at Toucan. That's the platform. We're all going to chat over there. See you there. Bye.